All right, well, hello and welcome to my channel. We're going to show you, I've had some questions and I promised that I would do a little tutorial on a couple things. Just a lot going on when you mess with resin. And anytime you do anything with resin, there's always questions about how do you clean it up, how do you mix it, how do you keep from getting bubbles in your resin, how do you get certain things to turn out a certain way when you pour a mold. So I'm going to first show you a couple of things. One thing is mixing the resin. Now I use this brand of resin right here simply because I have had the best luck with it. Is there any resin better than the other one? I'm not going to tell you that there's one better than the other one, but I will tell you that I like this brand better than any other that I've tried because I virtually get no bubbles. So this is 1-to-1 resin. So I'm going to mix this by volume and I'm going to mix it into this cup and I'm going to mix 10 millimeters, okay? So, or ounces basically is what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour part B in first and I'm going to measure up to the 5-ounce line, okay? Always make sure you put the lid back on the resin that you just poured, because if you don't, you're not going to get that lid back off. So then I'm going to come back onto this and I'm going to mix part A right into it, and I put A in second because it's thicker. You do however you want to do. It's just how I do it. And like I say, there's not any right or wrong way to this as far as I'm concerned. It's just the way I do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this resin, but I'm going to put my paddle down into it. I use this mechanical stir because it helps me get a good uniform mix, and I don't have to worry about cleaning off any kind of sticks or anything like that. Good thing about this is I can lower it, I can raise it up to where I can get a little bit more mix, but you don't want to raise that too far out of there, because if you raise it out, you're going to incorporate bubbles into your resin. Now another thing that I do is I have two directions on this, so every once in a while I'll change directions on it so that it kind of catches that mix both ways. Also, if your resin's extremely cool, it's thicker, it's harder to mix, it could come out cloudy. Just be real careful with your temperatures. It's about 85 here today, so, and my resin's been sitting out in my garage all day, so I apologize for the sound, but that is my exhaust fan that you hear. All right, so this has a timer on it and it goes for 3 minutes, and that's the perfect mix. So while that's mixing, I was explaining to someone, because they worry about when they do their mold and they take them out, they worry about these sharp edges. I buy these from Amazon. They're just round. They're called self-adhesive cork coasters. I don't know if you can read that or not, but that's what they are. See that? And I don't know, there's 60 of them in here. So what I do with these is I peel them after the resin is cured, at least initially. It takes several days for it to cure completely. But once it's cured to the point where it's a hard coaster, on the back side of this coaster, what I'm going to do is, I'll show you here, I'm going to take this piece of sticky cork and I'm going to apply it to the base of that coaster, just so it sticks good. And now I've got that put on there, and if I have kind of an edge on here, that helps raise that up to where you don't have to worry about that edge. And if you do sand the bottom of it to get rid of that edge, that'll help cover that up. So that's what I do with these coasters. So now that I'm done, I'm going to raise this up out of the resin just to where it's just out of the cup, and I'm going to turn it back on, and I'm going to spin some of that resin off of the paddle. There's a couple ways that you can pour these coasters, and really it's up to you how you do it. I've done it a couple ways, and somebody asked about getting that ridge on the side of on the bottom of their coasters. Well, I told them you can actually pour these upside down, and what I mean by that is when I pour these, I'm going to pour the first batch of resin into the bottom of this. But if I wanted to pour them, basically what I call upside down, is I could pour this color on there first. So once I have the resin poured and mixed, I'm going to clean this paddle off right quick because I don't want to have to worry about peeling the resin off of it later. Paper towel and a baby wipe is the simple cleanup that I use, okay? That's what I use for cleanup, and it does great. All right, so I'm going to put this back on. This thing here is rechargeable, and as you can see, it's got a timer there, and this raises it up and down. I can turn it off. I can recharge it here. I got this on Amazon, so I think it was like 35 bucks or something like that. All right, so as you can see, I don't really have a whole lot of bubbles in this resin. I've got a few. Once I pour this resin into here, if I want to pour just the clear, then the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to spray each of these molds with alcohol. I don't use 91% alcohol because that means there's still water in it. I use this, and I buy a box of 12 off of Amazon, and this works pretty good. So if I was going to put something in here and I wanted this, and I want this to be the top, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pour the resin into here just like this. And it's totally up to you how much you put in each coaster mold. You do what you want to do, okay? Now, let's say that you want to you want this to be poured what I call upside down. So what you can do is you can take, let me pour a little bit in here and then we'll do one. These are going to be what I call upside down, these right here. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them cure. I'm going to put whatever I want in there, and then I'm going to cover it with another layer of clear resin, just enough to where it'll set, and then I'm going to come up back over the top with the white like I did on here. But if you want to do it like this, then that's how you're going to do this. If you want to do it the other way around, if you want this to be the top, which I don't know that I always advise that, just because of the ridge you get on it. But the good thing about the ridge is that if somebody uses it as a coaster, that ridge kind of keeps water from getting mixed in there. So what I've done is I'm using this Ocean White by Let's Resin, and I'm going to get a nice solid white base on the bottom of this mold. I'm probably only going to get a couple, but this is going to cure to a super nice white. Okay, and you can pour this right into that mold. Okay, and this becomes the bottom of your mold, because nobody's going to see anything through that particular mold. All right. Now, if you want to do something that's just a little bit crazy and you want to kind of add something different in there, you can grab a pigment of any kind. Let's get some red. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I had some that leaked out. See that leaked out? Gross. Always wear your gloves or you get it all over your hands, and this stuff does not come off. So I'm going to put just a drop in there, or 2 or 4. Squeeze some in there, I don't care. And then take this and just pour it however you want to. I'm just going to kind of swirl this around a little bit. And that's going to pick up that red design. Now, if it was me, I would not make that the top. I would definitely make this the bottom, because when you come back over here after this cures and you come over it with some clear resin, you could put just about anything you wanted to in there to make that work. You could put a temporary tattoo in there. You could put stickers in there. You could do whatever you want with resin. All right. So once I got that poured, I'm going to come back to it and I'm going to hit each one of those one time with that isopropyl alcohol. That's going to help me keep the bubbles out of this. And as you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at this, you know, you virtually see very few bubbles in that. I mean, the only bubbles you might see is like on his eyes, which is cool. I mean, that just adds a little more dimension to him when you get the bubbles in the eyes. But it's a nice coaster. But when you put things in your resin too, you want to be careful, because as you put things in your resin, it has a tendency to get bubbles on them. So sometimes people pre-coat them, and you can do that with UV resin if you want to. Or sometimes I just kind of drop them in resin and pick them out with a pair of tongs or something, or with my gloved hand, and drop them into the space. So there you go. That's how you start with coasters. Okay, so we'll come back to this. I have to let it cure tonight. I'll come back and we'll finish up what we're doing on these coasters, and let you see the next step. All right, so let me tell you one more trick I just thought of. Your little wooden sticks, a lot of people are worried about adding air into your resin with wooden sticks. When you get done mixing your resin and stirring your resin, if you want to, wipe it off with a paper towel and then set it on something to cure. That will seal that popsicle stick, and you can reuse it, and it wipes off and cleans off real easy. All right. Okay, so that's what I got for you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope this helps somebody on your resin journey.